right, on the next job here. It's been a while, so got a driveway here that looks like most of the gravel's been pushed over here to the sides. Edge is a little bit high, so we're going to cut that. And then looks like Mike could clear her ditch for her a little bit there. I might throw that in, no charge, but we got to scrape this. We're going to try to save some money, but I don't think she's got enough rock on here, so we'll scrape this a little bit, try to fluff it up, and if we need some rock, we'll have to get some more. That's kind of where we're at for now. That's what we've got going today. So what we're doing here is we're going through and using the leaf blower, and we're blowing off as much of the debris from the driveway as possible. We've got a lot of leaves and organic matter. We don't want that getting mixed up in with the rock and the base material. There's a lot of dirt in there anyway. So we wanted to try to get as much of the organic matter off of the driveway as possible. And so we spent a considerable amount of time making sure we had all the leaves and the pine needles and little sweet gum balls, all of that stuff off the driveway so it wouldn't get incorporated and mixed in and just create an organic matter on the driveway where it makes it easier for grass to take root. So no, I don't have a backpack blower. We use the Combi system from Steel, and we can use multiple attachments for that. I've got the highest rated residential model that you can get, but you know, we don't really want a single purpose tool in there. We do have a professional grade brush cutter and string trimmer that we can change out the blade and the string, but that's what we use as the Combi system is Steel. Okay, so what we're doing here is we are going through and just scraping the sides, and we've got the blade at a 45-degree angle, and it's actually parallel going left to right, so we don't have it canted to one side or the other. But because we've got it at a 45-degree angle, we're cutting those sides down and we're windrowing all the material over to the center of the driveway. And so that allows us to continue to build up the center while cutting down the edges. And we're not needing to at this point put the blade on any kind of an angle or anything like that. So we're just making multiple passes on the sides, and we'll go with the 45-degree angle going back toward the center. So we'll just go down one side and back up the other, and it's kicking as much material as we possibly can back into the center for us to work with. And this will become important as you see later on. I'll chime in again and show you where it makes a difference here. So as you can see, we're starting to get a sizable amount of material built up in the center. The more passes we make, the more it breaks up that loose gravel and helps to windrow over into the center. Believe it or not, that's a lot of gravel. It's not just all dirt. It's very dirty gravel because it was incorporated in there with the soil. But after a couple rains, a lot of that gravel is just going to come clean. But you know, here I'm just grabbing from the edges as much as I can. It's cutting down the edges and allowing it to be a lot shorter on the sides than it was, and that's what we want it to be. We want it to be lower on the sides than it is in the center, so the water will shed off to either side of the driveway. But we're grabbing as much of the gravel from the sides as possible and kicking it over into the center. And then what we'll do is we'll turn that blade so it's actually backwards, so the back of the blade's facing forward, and then kind of skim along the top down the center. Now before we did that, you know from the before pictures, we had a hump in the center of grass, and so how we handled that is we just kind of went back and forth, and we just moved the windrow from back and forth in the center. So we were able to cut down that center part, but we kept all the material in the center of the drive just by pushing it back and forth and keeping that windrow right there. And so then we just returned the blade around so the back of the blade was facing forward, and just kind of skimmed the ground and went along and actually spread the material out in the center. And you'll hear me talk about that in just a minute here. All right, here we go. We're all done for now. This was right here, was way over here. Still needs more material on there to cover it up and pack it in, but that's what we have for now. We didn't have enough material to do it. This had a big pothole. The edges were really high all the way around, and we cut the edges down so the water can run off in either direction. I didn't have as much material as I would like to do more of a crown in the center, which is hard to see anyway. But we made sure we cut the edges down so the water can make its way off of the driveway and head to the culvert pipe up there, and then all the way around. So you saw what the before pictures were. All we did is we kept cutting from the sides and pushing it in the center, and then in the center we just kind of cut it back and forth, and then we went down the center and basically just kind of spread everything out down the center, so the center was high. And then we got the tire off of the edge over here, and that allowed us to have the tractor a little bit at an angle, so we could continue to keep the crown higher so it run off on either side. And now you got it where it's got the ability to run off on the edges and then follow that swell on down. So a couple places we did a little cutout, so water coming down would have a little place to go off, and then on around up at the parking pad up there next to the house. So we didn't bring any new material out. We just used what was here and scraped up as much as we could, and probably needs a couple loads of gravel to finish it up. But that was before and after. And then while we were out here, we did a little bit extra, and there was a lot of retention of water on that side of the ditch, so we just cut it out with the hand excavator and allowed the water to flow down the ditch a little bit more, so you can see where the ice is. The water was kind of up above where the ice is. It's still holding a little bit of water, but by hand that's all we could do, because we're going to have to continue to cut all the way down in order for the rest of it to flow out. So, but that's better than it was. So that's it for today.